Hey there, it's Wayfair here, where delivery and setup are as easy as a few taps on your phone. You're relaxing in an old hammock, scrolling Wayfair's app, when you spot it, a brand new patio set. Next thing you know, Wayfair delivers it right to your patio and sets it up. Oh, you need a new grill too? All right, Wayfair's got you covered. With Wayfair's Room of Choice delivery and fast expert setup on qualifying orders, life gets a little easier. Visit wayfair.com or the Wayfair app.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Hey, Rifters, welcome to the show. Subscribe, rate, review, tell a friend. We got a great show tonight. I'm very excited for this guest. Been trying to get him for a while. I know I say that a lot, but I have been trying to get this guest for a while. Uh, he has a new TV show out called Spider-Noir, and he plays the bad guy, and it's going to be great. You've also seen him in Witness, Lady in White, which is one of my favorite movies, The Wizard of Loneliness, Mars Attacks, Inception. Like, this guy just goes on and on. The great Lukas Haas will be here via Zoom coming up next. So enjoy Reza Rifts with Lukas Haas coming up next.
From Hollywood, California, welcome to Reza Rifts with your host, Keith Reza.
Hi, Lukas
Hey,
Haas.
how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm great.
Thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. I'm happy to do it. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm like you're like one of my acting heroes, so I'm very excited.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
Oh,
thank you.
thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. That's awesome.
I know you're not really a podcast guy, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. I mean, I guess I don't know much about, I don't really listen to podcasts that often, so I need to get into it.
Uh-huh. Well, before we start, I want to respect your time. They didn't tell me how much time I have with you, so
You're good. And I don't have a time limit.
okay, cool. So I'll just ask the questions to be respectful. If I'm going too over, just let me know.
Cool.
All right. So let's start with the Spider Noir that's coming out. Like, this is your first thing in the comic book universe, right? So
Yes.
so like, how did this action hit your lap?
Well, it kind of just happened in the typical way of an audition self tape, and I just did it at home and sent it in, and they liked it. So
Yeah.
that's basically it. Just auditioned for it and got it. Yeah.
Are self auditions easier for you than like going to the room and in front of people?
It's funny. That's a good question. I don't think I've ever been asked that before
Oh,
in an interview. But yes, they are. They actually, you have control. It feels more like being on a set, actually. Filming yourself, because you can do multiple takes. You can really make sure you get it right. And sometimes I'll be playful with it, like the way I film it,
yeah.
to kind of reflect whatever the the material is. Um, I mean, at times auditioning in person can be great too, but there's a little more pressure on it, and it doesn't feel quite the same as being on a set, like doing a self tape does, where you just kind of have control.
Plus, if you're like a good editor, you could like edit stuff out and then send it and be like, ah.
Well, yes and no. I think they get a little. I've actually never done that,
Oh, okay.
just because. But you could, if you had multiple camera angles, you probably could get away with it. So that way, if you flub the line in one angle, you could cut to the other one. but
Yeah.
but I haven't done that.
So this looks very interesting because one, it seems like, it's not out yet, so I only saw the trailer, but it kind of seems like you're playing a bad guy gangster, which is kind of unique, right?
Yes, yeah, I'm the right hand man, like consigliere to Brendan Gleeson's character, who's kind of the main kingpin. And yeah, it's a really cool role, and yeah, he's like a heavy for sure.
Yeah. So like did you read any of the comic books to like get into this character, or did you just watch old gangster things? Like, what was your spin on this?
Yeah, I did actually. I ordered some of the Spider Noir comic books just to take a look. Um, get a sense of it. And I watched some of the old Cagney movies. Um, I kind of love just having my own take on stuff, so um, I try not to take from other things too much. I just kind of like to feel free and loose. Um, so I just kind of worked on the accent and and sort of dove into the character by reading it a whole lot, and you kind of, the more you read it, the more it sort of seeps in, and
Yeah.
so that's sort of my process with that.
This is kind of unique too because it's a show that it's filmed black and white, but then they also filmed it in color. So I wanted to know like what was like that, I'm sorry, I don't know anything about
No, no, no.
filming like that. So what was that journey like?
So actually, the way we filmed it, it was in black and white, meaning, I mean, because it was digital, so I guess it could have been color if they wanted it to be, but the whole idea was noir. Um, so we filmed it, like when you went, if you did a take and then you went back to look at playback, the playback monitors were all in black and white.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the initial idea, I think, and then I think they were throwing around the idea of doing it in color, and Oren, the creator of the show, he then thought about it and decided to do like a sort of like enhanced version of that, almost like a colorized version rather than just natural color, So it's I think they call it like true tone or something like that. Uh, so the colors are very vivid, and I saw the premiere the other day in New York, and they showed one episode in black and white and one in color, and honestly, I couldn't figure out which one I liked the best. They were both great. Like, it's super cool to see a superhero, you know, in black and white, because I haven't really seen that before.
Yeah.
Um, Maybe it's been done. Like, I don't, was Sin City in black and white? I don't remember.
Sin City was in black and white.
But,
Yeah. But
um, but
but
it's cool to see, the spider webs and the whole thing and the Sandman and all that stuff in black and white. Uh, but yeah, the color is beautiful. I actually was thinking about how do I want to watch it, and I was thinking I might watch it in black and white first and
and then
then
color, yeah.
color. Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking about doing because I like the cool thing, like you're right, Sin City was black and white, but they didn't do any color in it. So like that's
Right.
kind of like, oh, maybe that's kind of, but then you think you've seen all these in color before, so maybe just black and white would just be like keep it original.
Totally. I mean, I think the black and white was obviously the intention, but the color is beautiful and unique too. It's not like typical color. It really feels like old school, like an old uh, colorized film.
Yeah.
So it's pretty great. I was impressed by the color. I didn't expect to like it as much as I did.
Uh, for Christmas, I'm gonna buy you something to hold your phone. I feel so bad for you right
Oh,
now.
don't worry. No, I'm good. I
uh,
should have been more prepared.
but I wanted to ask you, like, because this is kind of like a movie and a TV show question in one, but like, because like when you're doing a movie, you could like refilm different scenes and different takes. Like on TV shows, or like a faster limit to it.
It is, the pacing is slightly quicker, but not so much that it feels rushed or anything. Um, I would say maybe the main difference is with film. A lot of times you'll do a setup rehearsal, and the cameras will kind of revolve around your rehearsal.
Uh,
Whereas in this case, I think they kind of had ideas for the setups already, and so they just kind of plug you in a little more. But but in terms of the actual process on the set, um, we got to do whatever we needed to do to get it right.
Is it pretty easy knowing your character with like all these different scripts, or like did you film out of order, or did you do episode one, episode two, stuff like that?
No, we actually filmed, I would say, mostly in order. There might have been a scene or two where the location was the same, and we might have filmed something slightly out of order, but it was pretty. They did a good job of keeping it sequential, so that you could kind of ramp up and feel the progress of the characters and of the story.
Yeah.
Cool.
So how was it like playing like a mischievous bad guy? Because you're usually you play the person people root for, and this is like a totally different, type of thing
Yeah.
for you.
Well, it's actually a lot of fun because there's some kind of freedom in that, where you're just you get to. There's something really playful about it. Also, being like that noir style. Um, it's very melodic the way that they used to talk in those films. Ah, da 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 da, so you get to kind of dive into that, and also the costumes and the long shadows, and the sort of stark contrast between light and dark, and so I have this big hat, and so you get to really like lean into the physicality of it, and uh, yeah, so it was pretty awesome in that respect.
Yeah. So like I wanted to ask you too, because like on the wardrobe, like you're wearing like very gangstery stuff. Like, did you kind of? Because I also know that's kind of like your style, the cool hats. Like
Oh
did you
yeah.
did you kind of like have a say that, or like was that just something in the script?
No, I think that was pretty much the idea, already. And yeah, you always have a say, but when you go into the dressing room to try on your wardrobe, you have selections and you try different stuff out, and you're like, oh, this one's cool, that one's cool, and uh, you and the costume designer kind of. Come to a decision together to some degree.
Yeah.
But you can always tell when they have like a favorite. But usually the favorite is kind of mutual. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, we got to try a bunch of cool stuff. And yeah, those big zoot suits with the big lapels and the pinstripes and the hat and the all very stylized and cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, get ready for like because like for now, the rest of your career, like they're gonna ask you to do these Comic Cons because of this, and you're gonna be like you're gonna be like Mr. Marvel now. You know what I mean? You're in a
That's
new
the thing.
world.
I never even thought about that. That's true. Yeah, they do. I have friends who do those Comic Con things, but it sounds like fun.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, because like Lucas, like not to brag, I'm also a celebrity, but I do stand up comedy. So like sometimes they invite me to these cons and stuff, and like no one really knows who I am, but I always have like a funny thing to sign.
Uh-huh.
So like when people ask for your autograph, you have to have like a funny thing. Like I always say, don't do crack. You know what I mean? Uh,
That's
yeah.
good advice.
I could be your assistant when we do these. I'll just throw like little jokes for you.
Yeah, I would love that.
But another thing, people know about you. You like the music too, and so you're doing music, and you have a new music solo out called Rambling Man. So I wanted to know, like, how did that jump into your lap too?
Well, so yeah, I started making music, honestly, well, not making it, but I started playing music very early on, kind of the same time that I started acting. I got my first drum set when I was like 7 or something like that.
Oh, nice.
Um, and I've just been obsessed with music my whole life, and writing, and then I built a music studio, and I started recording and learning how to use the recording equipment, and I've been doing it for a long, long time, but I just never release it. And something came over me recently, and just I have so many songs that I haven't released, um, and I just decided to start putting them out. But Ramblin' Man in particular, that was a song. It's a song by Hank Williams, and a friend of mine sent it to me, and I was listening to it. It was so cool, but it's a very old song, and I sort of heard as I was listening, I'm like, I feel like I could do something interesting with this. Like I heard a kind of a development of the melody
Yeah.
that he was singing. So so I just decided to give it a shot and try to record that song, and I'm really proud of it. I love it, and I just sort of finished it. It's coming out in about a month.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So it is like it's like I don't know the exact wording, but it's like a remake of an actual song, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a cover of Hank Williams' Ramblin' Man.
But you've also written music before, like your
Yeah.
own. So like
Yeah.
how does your mind like because I find that to be so fascinating. There's a thing where like comedians want to be rock stars and rock stars want to be comedians. So I think like that the whole writing the music thing I've always wanted to do. You know what I mean?
Writing music is a fascinating experience because, well, like with acting, you're sort of, it depends on the movie or the show, but to whatever degree, you're kind of uh, like a color in a palette of paint. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to rely on a lot of other people, obviously, and the everything is basically written for you. You may rewrite some of your lines or whatever, but for the most part, it's already established. But with music, you're really just looking at yourself and you're writing about your own experience, and and then the recording aspect and playing the instruments. It's really all, when I'm making a song, I pretty much play all the instruments.
Really?
And,
You do
and
all of them?
yeah, yeah,
Whoa.
and I record it all on my own. So it's a way more personal experience, and the product is like all me. There's
Yeah.
no one else is really involved. So um, there's something really satisfying about that, artistically, and when you've finally sort of gotten it to a place that you're really happy with, it's a really nice feeling of accomplishment.
Uh, yeah.
Um, so with the music, it's just very personal. You know.
Yeah. It's like your love letter to the world.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's like your thoughts, your ideas, the things that you go through, and then how you frame them, and your ear. You're just trying to connect um, to yourself and to uh, the things that really turn you on in terms of sounds and notes and all the rest of it. It's a challenge because especially when you're doing all of the instruments, because I don't really do much programming. It's almost all live instruments. So
Yeah.
it takes a lot of time and effort to get it right, you know. But
It,
but
is it
it's fun.
is it a different form of like anxiety like when you're acting compared to when you're like doing music? Like is it two different type of like stresses that you have sometimes?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, uh, with acting, it's more like a performative thing. Like you have to be on and ready to perform, and you have to learn your lines, all that stuff, and you have to find your way into a character. Um, with music, at least in the studio, obviously, when you're playing live, that's
Yeah. It's
performing.
a
But
different it's fun, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
but in the studio, it's more cerebral, I guess. There's not as much pressure because you're on your own time, and um uh so it's less of a pressure situation and more of, can I accomplish what I'm hearing, and this kind of a journey through that whole endeavor. And it's like it can take me a long time to make a song. Sometimes it comes out really fast, and then sometimes it can take months. So it's definitely a different experience. But but you're using your same sort of creativity that's sort of inside. Uh, I feel like acting and music are kind of two sides of a coin for me. Um,
Yeah.
uh, so you're just exploring and and just trying to express yourself in a way that feels really authentic to you. Um,
Yeah.
so
I
it's
t- I kind of know what that feels like because I write scripts and like I could write a first and a second act like this, Lucas, like no problem. But the third act, I write it. I'm like, this is horse shit because you don't want it like, ooh, the guy falls in love with the girl, they live happily ever after type thing. Like that's not what I'm into. You know what I mean?
right. You
So
want it
like,
to be
I'm like,
unique.
delete, delete, delete.
Right. It's a similar thing. Exactly. You're going through it and you do one thing, you're like, nah, that didn't work. And you try something else and you keep throwing stuff at it until it starts to take shape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have some other questions about your past. Is it okay if I just throw a
Yeah.
couple of
Yeah. Of
these at you?
course.
Uh, I wanted to ask you because you started really young, and right when you started, you were like instantly a star. And I don't know if you like remember like the filming or like the scripts and stuff, but like how did that like impact you as a kid? Like, did you know what type of business you were going into? Like, how do you learn how to read scripts like that? And like, you know,
That's a good question. I mean, I became obsessed with acting really at a young age. Kind of, I think 4 years old I was when I really first understood what it was and started to want to do it. My mom was a screenwriter at the time, and it was her first pilot she ever had written. She wrote a pilot, and there was a live studio audience, and I was in the audience with her watching the actors, um, act the pilot she had written, and I was just fascinated. I was like, what are they doing? Like, who are they and what are they doing? Because they looked like they were having a great time.
yeah,
And my mom's like, those are actors. They're acting. And I'm like, I want to be an actor, right? So then I just got obsessed, and I started bugging my parents. I'm like, I want to be an actor. I want to be an actor. I want to be an actor. And they're like, you can be an actor when you're older. No rush. You can do it anytime. Um, but I started going to kindergarten dressed in costumes. I actually wouldn't go to kindergarten. I wouldn't go to school unless I was in a costume. So
yeah.
I'd be a cowboy or, whatever. I had a million costumes and I would just be dressed up at school like it was Halloween every day.
Yeah.
Um, and then a casting director came to my kindergarten. This is illegal now, by the way. You can't. Apparently, you're not allowed to do this. But the casting director came to our school and asked, "Who's the best actor in the school? Is there a good actor?" And we had done one play, like one tiny little play, where I played a mouse in Cinderella, and I had made this like uh, nose with a marble and string. Um, and like an egg carton and wrapped
Yeah.
it around my head to be the mouse. And the teachers, when the casting director came, they were like, "That kid right there, dressed in the uh, in the in that costume, he's a good actor." So they called my parents and asked if I would audition, and my parents read the script and they were like, "Well, gosh, he wants to be an actor, and they're sending us a script out of the blue. Like maybe it's meant to be." And so they let me go on this audition, and uh, and I went on the audition and I got it, and that was a movie called Testament.
Oh yeah.
And
You died in that one.
yeah, that's right, that's right.
Your
Oh, that's
first
cool. You know
film.
that? Yeah, that was my very first movie. Exactly.
But
So
how cool is that? Because like you said, now that's illegal. They can't do that. So you kind of dodged a bullet. We're like, aha, thank you.
yeah, like that wouldn't happen now. If I had just been born now, might not have ended up as an actor. I don't know. For
Yeah.
sure. It's funny how things like that happen.
Yeah. A lot of your like early stuff too, like your characters do and like it does kind of involved in like a death or a murder and stuff. And I was wondering, was that just coincidence or were those all the things you were going out for?
No, I think that's coincidence. You know, you don't really control what comes across your desk. You know, it just happens, and um, yeah, it's kind of whatever you relate to the most. Actually, going back to your previous question, yeah, because that was the part that I haven't really talked about much. Is that very first movie I couldn't read.
Oh,
Right.
really?
So, well, Testament, yeah, I was like 5 years old. So I was just learning how to read. Um, and so my parents would have to read the script to me, and I learned the lines by them reading them to me.
Yeah.
And I think I probably learned actually on that film, I learned how to read just because it was sort of a necessity. Um, but anyway, I got off track. I was sort of answering the earlier question, but um, what was the question you just asked? Because sorry.
No, no, I'm glad you went back because that's kind of cool because I have autism, so I was very nonverbal growing up, and now that I do stand-up comedy, so like a lot of people don't realize that when you're younger, you don't have like I didn't have the ability to talk. I was very nonverbal.
Oh wow, yeah,
So like I feel like people don't really realize the problems kids have when they're younger, so like you not knowing how to read, like that's like something really cool that they taught you and they like gave you that asset.
absolutely. Yeah, it was it's funny because I remember specifically on that very first film not being able to read the script. So and I remember my parents kind of reading it with me and going through it with me and showing me the lines and what everything meant. And I think I was learning to read at the time, but it's just the how kids you learn like one word and then they kind of like show you a sentence, and but in this case it was kind of more advanced.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was learning a more advanced style of reading, I guess, at an early age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the question that was before that was like how like a lot of the scripts that you did while you were starting out, they all involve and
Involved
yeah,
like death and stuff like
and
that.
yeah,
I
like
kind of think movies in general, because they're, dramatic, have to be dramatic. There's always like some kind of death going on in
yeah.
in movies. Not always, but a lot of times.
You did one, and forgive me, I forgot the name of it, but you did one where you played a kid that just got diagnosed with AIDS, and
All right.
I thought you were so great in that, you
Thank
know.
you.
So like I wanted to know like how is that like, because you're also a kid, you probably really didn't really know what that was. So like how did as an actor do you like pop that in?
So that was a very interesting experience, the Ryan White story.
Yeah, yeah.
And well, Ryan was actually in the show with me. He played an AIDS patient in the hospital. So I got to be with him um, and learn about his life directly from him, which was really amazing. And I got to be friends with him and his family, um, and they were on set the whole time. So that was a fascinating experience. And then, of course, yeah, later on after we shot the film, he then passed, which was, yeah, it was probably the first time anyone in my life that I had spent that kind of time with had passed. So it was definitely a sobering kind of experience. But the funeral was really wild too. Like Michael Jackson was there, and Elton
Oh, cool.
John played on the piano and sang a song, "Candle in the Wind," I think, in the church. So it was a very heady, wild kind of extreme way to experience that for the first time. Um, but it was a poignant moment, and a pretty cool thing to get to be a part of, to get to have known him and got to really uh, spend time with him and then tell his story, at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So So, Lucas, I do have 5 more questions, okay, but I want to
Yeah, no
respect your
worries,
time.
no worries.
Okay. Okay. This is such an honor to meet you and talk
Mhm.
to you. So, thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Uh, so I wanted to ask you because then, you did this movie where you saved the world and Mars attacks.
Oh yeah.
And I wanted to know, like, how is that experience? Because everybody was in that movie. But like I said, your character, you and your grandma, you saved the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that was awesome. I mean, that was one of those things where it didn't even feel like work, you know?
Yeah.
And it was Tim Burton, and he's so playful, and like he was down for any idea. He's like, "So what do you think you could be like I was writing that speech at the end, we were writing it together, and the sets were awesome, and all the people on it were so cool. Um so it was just like a wild, heady experience getting to be part of that and watch like Jack Nicholson walk by, and then all these cool actors. Uh, and Yeah, that was just a whole lot of fun. It felt like being like in a cartoon almost. You know what I mean? Like something about it was
Yeah.
it was so stylized too, and there were these comedians like Jack Black. I'd never seen him before, but he played my brother. I
Yeah.
don't think he had really been in much up until that point. It was sort of early for his career, but like I remember he made a real impact on me. I'm like, wow, this guy is awesome, right? He was so good,
Yeah.
um, and yeah, that was just a very fun. Like it was almost like a roller coaster of a film to get to make.
Was that an offer or did you audition for that one?
That was an offer. Yeah, I think a lot of my early, like the first, third of my career, uh, everything was still offers at that point. Not anymore.
Yeah.
But
But
yeah,
I,
back then.
but I mean, like what a cool movie because like it's a dark comedy and like I was like 9 or 10 when that came out and it was my favorite movie
Oh,
and
really?
I just loved it and like I don't know because I think like I have such a sophisticated sense of humor like I got the jokes more than my parents, you know what I
Right.
mean?
It's
So
true. A lot of people. It did. I don't think it did all that well in the box office at the time, but I remember not understanding why because I thought it was so funny and so like unique, right? But
yeah.
I remember one thing they were gonna do that ended up not happening was all the aliens and everything were going to be stop motion originally. That
Oh
was
my
the
God.
that was the idea. Um, and then I guess digital was just coming out at that time, like CGI. So that's one of the pretty early examples of like a major film with CGI in it.
Yeah.
Um, and I remember personally being disappointed that it wasn't stop motion because I thought that idea was so cool. But I also understand that it would have taken a whole lot more work and time to do all that stuff in stop motion. But it was, and it's pretty cool CGI. Like it's that. If you look back, you could tell it's sort of early, herky jerky CGI, but
Yeah, and it's actually pretty good too.
it's pretty
For
good, and it worked really well for, those awkward aliens. Ack, 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 ack,
uh
But that
this
was a
might
lot of fun.
I have one more Mars attacks question. I'm sorry, but
Cool. No, no, that's cool.
this might be the dumbest question you've ever been asked. But when you were at the donut store and they were filming it because you owned you worked at a donut shop, did you ever like be like, I'm gonna take a donut, or like how was your like because you're in
Oh,
character?
I'm a big donut guy, so I'm sure. I don't remember specifically, but I imagine I partook in a donut or two.
Oh, and then another one that I really liked was Meth Head because you watch
Oh
that,
wow.
yeah, you watch that movie and you're like, I'm never gonna try meth. So I'm really glad that you did that because I think a lot of people who've done meth should watch that movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I that's an interesting one for you to bring up because I don't feel like many people saw that. But it's funny because I was really, really proud of that performance. It was a tough job. Obviously, the subject matter is pretty intense,
Yeah.
and and it was a real emotional roller coaster. And we filmed it on a really tight budget in a short amount of time. Um, so that was a real challenge, and I've always been really proud of that performance, even though it wasn't a movie that really anybody saw.
I
But
saw
well,
it.
that makes it worth it right there. I'm glad you saw it. That's cool.
Yeah.
But thank you. Yeah, I'm glad you saw that. That's cool.
How's like the career changed for you? Because like you started as a kid, and then you're already a movie star as a kid, and then you're the star in certain movies, and then you do some stuff where you're the side star. Like how is that easy for you to, or do you think okay, a job's just a job? You know what I mean?
Well, it's like, because my career has been so long, it's like you're just constantly adjusting, and you don't always have like clear perspective of like how you're perceived necessarily. Um, so you kind of think of yourself as uh, the kid from Witness or something, but and now you're like a teenager, and you're awkward, and you're having to adjust into what those roles are at that point. And that just keeps happening. Like then now, I went from being you go from being kind of like the kid into now you're the adult, and now you're going up for dad roles, uh and like more adult roles. So you're just always adjusting and figuring it out, and trying to you're always learning and relearning.
Yeah.
Um and I've had times in my career where I feel like I wasn't as good of an actor, honestly, where I like there was a moment where I was really trying, like I thought subtlety and naturalism was kind of where it was at, but then I realized those performances were actually a little on the boring side.
Really?
So I started to kind of go the opposite direction and really dive into things and give it more energy, and see how far I could push it. And um I think that seems to be working a lot better than that
Yeah.
ultra naturalism thing did for a while. But yeah, it's just, honestly, it's also hard to separate, because it's just my life. It's just I sort of started at such a young age that um it's just been something that I've had you sort of navigate it. Sometimes it's just how you feel at the time. Like I've passed on things I probably shouldn't have passed on, just because I want to be playing in my band or hanging out, or I'm like just not in the mood. And then
Right.
other times where you're like, gosh, I want to work, and there's nothing there. And so I think as you get older, you start to calm down and just go, all right, let me just take it as it comes. Uh and yeah, it's a little bit less of that high peaks and low valleys. You're a little more even keeled the older you get, um, which is nice, because you feel a little more comfortable and
I think
confident.
I think every actor, I mean, they have stuff that they've passed on where like after they pass on it, then they rewatch it, they're like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have passed. So I think like that's just a human natural truth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you never know how something's going to end up. When you read the script. Um, but honestly, sometimes in for me, when I was a teenager, especially, I just like at times I just didn't want to work. I at that point I had already worked for whatever it was, like 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
And so I was already kind of like, you have your phases of getting bored of it, or just like or insecure in moments, or whatever it is you're going through, and you may not be in the mood to have to be on and learn lines and be on set and all that stuff. Um that has subsided for me now, though. Now I'm ready to work whenever there's something that I'm excited about.
I'm gonna write a movie with you and me, and we could just be best friends. That's
Cool.
all I want.
That sounds like fun.
Uh, okay, I got two more questions. When you're filming something because I know writers kind of get like a little don't change my words, but as an actor, have you ever like kind of changed dialogue to fit your character with the blessing of the writer?
Yeah, it really depends on the writer, on the director, how they feel about that. Some directors ask you to rewrite stuff. Some directors kind of want your input, and other directors or writers kind of are stuck to, they really want it to be what's on the page.
Yeah,
So you just got to feel that out as you do it. But generally, um, I feel like I enjoy making, like rewriting to some degree to really make it, make the role. It depends, it's hard to be specific because it depends on the script. Like certain scripts, the role is in there,
right.
but there may be like some lines that don't get to the root of, like sometimes stuff is very expositional, so it's kind of, um it can be over the top, and so I'll write it so that it feels like it's coming from a real place, as
Yeah,
opposed to an idea that's being sort of forced in. um uh it really does depend on the movie itself and the writing in particular. But I'm always like into the idea of kind of making it my own. And I'd say mostly directors and writers are open to that.
yeah. And then my second to last question is, and you don't have to say any names because I'm not a big believer in clickbait, but have you ever worked with somebody who was just pretty mean to you, and then like your paths crossed again, and then they kind of like respected you?
Ah, that's an interesting one. Trying to think. I've had a couple of incidents where, yeah, where it feels like someone was maybe mean, or they're just, very wrapped up in their own thing, and so they're not really uh responsive to you as a person. um uh I have had a couple experience, like sort of negative experiences, nothing crazy though.
Yeah.
And no, I can't remember one where they came back and then respected me later.
Oh.
um
Like they never said, "Oh, you did great in Mars Attacks. I can't believe we're doing another film together."
I haven't, I don't think, not that I, off the top of my head, I can't remember that ever having been the case. But there were a couple instances where people, they might just have been in a bad mood, or
Yeah.
been in a bad mood generally.
Yeah.
um but I would say for the most part I've had really good experiences with people.
Cool.
It's, yeah, I've been lucky in that way.
And now, Lucas, this is my last question for you. This has nothing to do with your career, though, but this is something to do with about you spiritually. If you could go into a time machine and talk to a younger version of yourself, knowing everything you know now, what would you tell yourself?
Oh, wow. That's a cool question. I guess I would tell myself, just, it sounds cliche, but don't sweat the small stuff, I guess, or just don't worry about it. Like everything, trust yourself,
Yeah.
like trust that that you know what you're doing, and trust your creativity, and lean on that, and rely on it. And don't second guess it. Um because that's, I think, what I've learned the most, especially in my older age, is that I can trust myself in that way. And that especially with all the experience I've had, um, that I know I have a natural instinct, and that's something I need uh, to nurture and trust and rely on, and I'm lucky to have that.
Uh, well, Lucas, thank you so much. Like I said, this was a real honor. You're one of my acting heroes.
Oh,
So
that's so cool, man. I'm so
uh,
glad I got to talk to you. That's so
yeah,
cool. Yeah.
so this was like a dream come true.
Oh, I appreciate you, man.
Where can the folks at home follow and support you? Like Instagram, Twitter?
On Instagram, just Lukas Haas is where I'll be posting about my music and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, Instagram's the main one I use. Although I'll probably be trying to do, because when you release music, you kind of have to put it,
everywhere. Yeah,
everywhere. But Instagram is the one that I sort of relate to the most, I guess. You
sure.
know.
Well, if you're
Um,
ever in Los Angeles and you like stand-up comedy, come to a show and I'll get you in and we'll go get a chicken after the show or something.
Oh, cool, man. That's awesome. Where do you do your stand up?
All over. I tour with TJ Miller right now and
Oh,
Pablo
sick.
Francisco. Yeah,
Oh,
so
that's great. That's
yeah.
great.
But yeah, man, definitely.
Yeah, I would love to see you. I'll look you up. I'll check that out. That'd be awesome.
All right, Lucas. Well, thank you for being my best friend for 45 minutes. I really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah,
And
you too, man.
all right, I'll talk to you later, buddy.
All right, talk to you later.
All right.
Good talk.
All right. All right, guys, that was the episode. Subscribe, rate, review, and we'll see you guys next week on Reza Rifts.